There are so many little historical facts and interesting things around this Syrian problem that I don't know where to begin. Hopefully the influence of the videos available on the net are beginning to have an effect on worldwide politics. For example, the first time for a long time, the rabid British Empire decided not to go. And I saw the reports on that says the Prime Minister was embarrassed. Well, too bad. In the Middle East, Britain has gone in there in the last 100 years and packaged up little countries that were not really countries before for the ease of administration. And that's been a cause of trouble for a long time. And I was talking to a lady who has a little television show called Carol's Christian Corner, and she's quite brilliant. Said if you listen carefully to the Muslim people in the Middle East, they're not upset about the fact that the British came in there to take the resources and steal the money and stuff. They're upset about that the British brought their moral corruption, drugs and prostitution with them into their Muslim world. And apparently that's still the case. It's not a matter of you're stealing our oil money. It's a matter of you are corrupting our family unit, and the Muslim culture still realizes that the family and the sacrosanct duties of women to hold the family and the society in moral check are more important than anything else. And this goes all the way back through 20,000 years back to China. Everyone understood this, and this is not what the Muslim world wants to see imported from the West or Europeans. Well, that was an interesting and shocking revelation. Something else that's known in the conspiracy arena is that the War Powers Act that was put through to expedite fast decisions in World War II was never rescinded. And every sitting American president, when elected, is forced to sign this thing when he gets his reality check that he finds out he's just a spokesperson, figurehead for power groups, as Obama is. So if one wants to know the why for some of the things that go on with the corporation of the United States of America, which is a British-owned corporation, you look to the War Powers Act, and it's still in force, which allows them to do illegal things that would be deemed necessary for national defense during a war, but illegal in peacetime. So that is one of the reasons why Mr. Obama would say, as the figurehead, I'm going to instigate military action against Syria for human rights violations, and why George Bush was able to go into Iraq without consulting Congress, because the War Powers Act is in effect. So in that arena, what they did was actually legal, although immoral, which is why they did it. They can get away with it. Another viewpoint is Syria is a sovereign nation and has been for, I don't know, 2,000 years, 5,000 years. And I think the president is part of the hereditary kingship there, and that has been the form of government there for a long, long time. And if you will note, there's a civil war going on there, and the civil war was instigated by Syrians who didn't like the government. As there was a civil war in the United States at one time. So it's not like Syrians aren't trying to change their government in their sovereign nation, as they have a sovereign right to do so. At the bottom of this, I would assume there is the oil money. Control of oil is the real reason for saber rattling there. A couple of years back, Barack Obama was given a position within the United Nations. I don't remember exactly what it was. But from that position, he would be able to order UN troops to come into the United States of America. And it's actually illegal for a U.S. president to accept positions in other large organizations. But that was done. So another fact is the drone strikes. The standard orders for a large drone strike in the Middle East is you send a drone in, and then 10 minutes later you send a second drone to the identical location, supposedly to make sure that the target was actually destroyed. A critic of this policy said that gives just enough time for the police, firemen, and local people who want to help with the damages to whomever or whatever to arrive and then get blown up as well. The third reason is those drones cost millions of dollars, so whomever is selling the drones to the government, I think it's their suggestion that you use two instead of one, and they get to sell twice as many. Follow the money. I met a man who works for Department of Defense, Department of Homeland Security, and his job has been building military bases around the world or police training facilities around the world, and he's being sent to Jordan, which is one of the countries that surrounds Syria. And I wonder if a U.S. military presence and preparedness is not being sent to Jordan, which is a complete land bridge then across from Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Syria, for some future push. This accidental blooper by Mr. Kerry about, well, if they give up their weapons of mass destruction, that would be good. That's everyone's jumped on. Well, that's a really good idea. It's probably not what was planned, but I hope it's part of the onset of that kind of world we wish we did live in. Because my thoughts based on Syria is a sovereign nation, and no one would put up with if Syria was coming over and trying to make drone strikes on the United States because they didn't like their international policies, which do suck. America has 2,400 military bases around the planet. Why are they doing that? Probably paranoia, because their foreign policy is unfriendly, put it that way, in the interests of national security, raid money, drugs, gold, oil, guns. So it would be the way things are supposed to be, that something like NATO or United Nations or the people who do the international war crimes in The Hague would make up a resolution about Syria using chemical weapons and saying that is a no-no and we're coming over there legally, however they do that, to say we're going to arrest you for doing that, or give us all the chemical weapons, and if we catch you doing it again, you're going to be in big trouble. A lot of people my age, our parents gave their lives so we would not have a totalitarian world, and I think it would be very disingenuous of us to give that up without a fight, without saying anything, without doing anything, without being the children of those people. Now, if the U.S. Congress votes no on this, that will be a win for the people in general who realize these things could be done without so much violence. And whatever reaction the Syrians have to that, if the United States or the West worries about, well, then we'll look weak. The real question you should be asking yourselves is, what do we look like, and what should we look like? A couple of thousand years back, we had the Roman Empire controlling the entire Mediterranean shoreline, Libya all the way around through Egypt, Greece, Rome, through Europe, up through England. And a guy named Yeshua, a rabbi from Nazareth, came along and said, hey, I got a better idea. What about a world where there's peace and love and brotherhood? And that idea has come forward for the last 2,000 years and theoretically culminated in the United States of America with the Declaration of Independence, and some very smart guys taking a year to figure out what kind of document could we have that would prevent the BS that we had normally going on in countries. And that's the Declaration of Independence. And that milestone is what should be worked on and flowered out into the future. Not worrying about national security, which you wouldn't have to worry about unless you were committing crimes around the planet and making people upset. Well, as far as I can tell from watching history, U.S. foreign policy is to find a single despot in a country and support him as long as he goes along with what the U.S. wants done, and they let him get away with any atrocities that he wants to, as long as he toes the line. And when he gets out of favor, he's taken out, like the man in the Marcos in the Philippines, or Noriega, Saddam Hussein. The British did the same thing in India. Instead of conquering the country, they made deals with the Rajas to give up the wealth of India. And interest by the U.S. in Assad is interesting. Something else that no one mentioned, those countries are at the crossroads of the world and have been for 5,000 years. There's a lot of money there, a lot of trade routes, and there's been a lot of strife over who's going to get the trade routes and the taxes. Everything from China going to Europe or Africa goes through there by land or sea or river. Everything from Africa going to Asia or Europe goes through there. And everything from Europe going to Asia or Africa goes through that region, and has for thousands of years. So there's a lot of money there. And the United States is a 250-year-old baby country. I think I have very little idea of what's going on there and how deep-rooted the problems are. So all the trade routes are there and have been for a long time. The oil's been a big deal for a long time. I met a financial guy, and he said if you can just rattle that oil cage just a hair, if you bought in the right way in the stock market, you can shake millions of dollars out of it without having to do anything. And that might be what's going on. I do perceive that Assad's brother is a psychopath. And if you've not noticed, you should take a look at the works of Thomas Sheridan. He's going to be the worldwide expert on psychopaths in government, religions, business, and this is what is wrong with the world. There are 2 to 2.5% of the population. They always wind up in the governments, police forces, religions, and that's why they don't make sense. And for the last 30 years, I've been following the demise of despots, and they always find torture chambers where they've been murdering people, and more so women than men. The best women in the culture are captured and tortured to death in underground rooms by psychopaths. And this is something that should be brought out to the public, and well, it should be stopped. But that's what they do, and you shouldn't be able to be elected into office if you're a psychopath. And if people knew you were a psychopath, I don't think you'd get voted in. But this is the way the world is now, and this is why the world is the way it is now. And psychopaths and psychopathy has to become public knowledge, has to become part of the public lexicon, which means people talk about it and know about it. And in the not too distant future, the world will be run without psychopaths in the power positions. That might take until 2035. But we now have a sex offender registry, pedophile registry. We need to have a psychopath registry. So when you're a psychopath applying for a job, the people will not only look up your financial background and your job history, but are you on the psychopath registry? And if so, no.